Hello everybody and welcome to Cryptometa channel, and today we're gonna to have a speak with Conor, a co-founder of Hedera Starter. Conor, hello.
Здравствуйте, hello, how are y'all?
Conor, nice to hear your Russian American accent. We are sitting in Moscow. Conor is in Texas, in the middle heart of United States, and we in Russia have a very good expectations of this state where you are, because there are some very cool guys, cowboys with guns, maybe.
I got my cowboy boots on right now.
Oh, cowboy boots! Yes, I see it. So it is true. And what we want to know is Hedera Starter the same true as the Texas and the cowboys in Texas? So, Conor, in a few words, explain to the newbies here what is Hedera Hashgraph itself. What is it? What is the product?
So Hedera Hashgraph is, I think, just the next evolution of smart contract platforms. It kind of bills itself as the third/fourth generation of kind of like blockchain and networks, and that's kind of to distinguish it. It's not a blockchain, it's its own kind of network. It has a unique consensus algorithm, which people can read more about. But it basically just allows for significantly higher transaction throughput, faster finality, and just overall cheaper fees. So simply put, Hedera Hashgraph is just the next evolution in smart contract platforms. And they have some a major update with smart contracts kind of being finalized as we come up in the coming months.
Mm-hmm. Conor, I know that Hedera started for 4 or 5 years ago, and since then there were some development of its ecosystem, its community, and the question is, who was and who are now backers of Hedera Hashgraph? Who backs it?
Yeah, so Hedera actually has the benefit of having major companies be the backer of it, rather than a lot of other chains. Most blockchains can't necessarily say they have top, Fortune 100, Fortune 50 companies backing it, companies like T-Mobile, major banks, Boeing, major software enterprise companies, companies that are doing great work and are very large companies and have complex operations, are all kind of beginning to use or already using Hedera Hashgraph. And so simply put, Hedera Hashgraph is actually backed by a real concrete, industry.
And Conor, by the way, some people think that Hedera Hashgraph is not decentralized and can't be decentralized because of the big transnational corporations operating this system. What do you think? Is it an advantage for Hedera Hashgraph or a disadvantage?
I think it's just it's a matter of time frames and perspectives. People in crypto tend to be very short-sighted and not fully understanding of the process. So I think at this current time, we kind of have nodes operated by these big transnational corporations. But as we begin to continue, growing the network and growing the ecosystem, you're gradually going to see nodes become run by more and more companies and more people. So at this point in time, it's kind of, I guess, if you want to say centralized, but not really, considering it's like 30 to 40, if not more nodes. And then as we continue to grow the network, incorporate more companies and more people want to run nodes, then it's going to keep growing and growing. So no matter what, it's going to be decentralized kind of in all understanding.
I see. Conor, what do you expect from Hedera Hashgraph in 2, 3, maybe 5 years?
Yeah, so Right now, I think we have about 29 members, 29 companies on the governance council, and that's the big council with all the big transnational companies. So let's say in 5 years, that's an easy number. In 5 years, I'd imagine us to have more, if not nearly all, of the council positions filled. We have 39 total council positions, and we're generally adding a few every single year. So I think in 5 years, we'd be very close to either having it completely full or almost full up. Like I said, for the nodes, I'd expect us to see a lot more nodes and further decentralizing the entirety of the Hedera ecosystem. And then more importantly, kind of with relation to my project, Hedera Starter, I really expect us to see a flourishing ecosystem, kind of like how Ethereum is today, with lots of dApps, lots of people building in many different niches in gaming and NFTs, and DeFi, insurance, so many different avenues. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm so excited about Hedera, because it's not like my focus isn't on the next 6 months, the next year. My focus is, what is Hedera going to look like in 2025, 2020, 2030, and kind of beyond? Because if we can have a cool dApp ecosystem with a bunch of people running really interesting projects, and then all these big companies that are also working, the next step is, hey, we can combine that, and all the innovation that we built on Web3 will then be able to be brought over to these big companies, and then all of our lives are going to be significantly enhanced by the innovation.
A great plans. And Conor, what will your own product, your own startup, your own company, Hedera Starter, what will your company, what role will your company play in this future?
That's a great question. So I feel as though our company is going to work hand in hand, hopefully, with the Hedera Foundation, in just focusing on growing the Hedera ecosystem, and specifically the dApps and a lot of the mom and pop shops. That's kind of what I like to call it, mom and pop dApps. These are, in comparison to the major companies like T-Mobile and all those guys who have thousands and thousands of employees. Obviously, dApps and projects and protocols maybe have 5 to 10 people running it, and so our focus is on launching dApps and getting those protocols out onto the actual Hedera network, and then seeing them survive and thrive and really do a good job. And so 5 years down the road, when we have hundreds and hundreds of dApps on Hedera, we hope that we will have launched a significant portion, or at the very least, we will have helped a lot of those decentralized applications kind of with anything that they need. We want to become like a really, a major player within the ecosystem, and really help grow the overall Hedera network, because that is our end goal. End goal is to grow the Hedera network and the Hedera ecosystem.
Conor, to do such a big deals as you told us, I think, and we think that somebody should help you to do it. So some venture funds or some big boys from Hedera Foundation must be behind you, must help you. Can you tell us about this?
Yes. So we have we're finishing up our kind of private round right now for initial investments, and so we're generating. We've gotten a pretty hefty war chest to work with, which is important because I have employees. Obviously, I run a company. This is a company. I run the company, and I want to make sure that they are able to feed themselves, feed their families and their children, and then obviously live a comfortable life, and at the same time focus on the project. And so we have backing then from VCs, from large institutions, which will be coming public in the next few weeks and months. We are finalizing kind of our application for the Hedera, or the Hedera Foundation, which I think is going to be a major piece of news for us, and just a major kind of seal of approval, because it'll provide a lot of credibility to our project, that the Hedera Foundation approves of us and approves of what we're doing. And then we also just have a team that's really just put together, has lots of experience within the space of incubation, and developing projects, and helping projects out and go from 0 to 1. And then some guys that I really work well with in terms of just their overall character values, their approach to cryptocurrency, and their approach to kind of our vision with Hedera Starter. So I think we're kind of covered on a lot of fronts, from money, from partners, from the actual team itself. I think we've got a pretty rock star team, if I have to say so.
You told about the team. Can you add? Who are they?
Yeah, so they're guys that I've met throughout my time within the industry, that I've recruited kind of from other projects that have experience specifically within what we're doing within the field of incubating, accelerating, and launching projects, because that field is a little bit different than just running a project, because you kind of have to know, you have to be able to look at projects that, come through your launch pad, and some of them are going to, be ready to go and we can launch them pretty quickly. Some of them are going to need a bit more work. And so it's the ability for those, team members to be able to critique projects, review them, provide suggestions, and provide really constructive feedback for those teams, and then help them out so that they can launch a successful project. So we have guys that have helped me out with that and that I've worked with previously. And then we have other people that help with just, kind of finance, obviously. And then a pretty strong team that we're really growing for kind of like a guerrilla marketing campaign to really help us, really organically grow within Hedera and the Hedera community, and then start to grow, as we look beyond Hedera. Because at the end of the day, we believe that Hedera is one of the best networks out there for smart contracts. And so we're going to have to start attracting audiences that are on Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, other chains, as well as people that don't necessarily even use cryptocurrencies in the first place, which is why, hopefully we could partner with some of those big companies down the line that Hedera works with, because that will open up even larger avenues for us to kind of work with people that aren't necessarily familiar with cryptocurrencies.
Mm-hmm. Conor, and the last question about your team. You are called co-founder. Who is another co-founder? Or maybe there are a couple of them?
Yeah, so the other co-founder is Mark Berger, and he's been really helpful with just general kind of networking and venture and VCs and all that. So that's kind of what he has, what he's been handling a lot, which has been immensely helpful. And he's been kind of just interfacing with a lot of the initial funding and everything, and getting us just money to get going. And then he's kind of the guy that helped put the idea in my head to kind of look at Hedera as a potential avenue to really do some good work. And so a lot of the credit kind of goes to him for that. And so now it's just, for me, it's up to, Mark has, set the stage, and now, we just have to execute. And that's kind of why I'm super excited. So.
Okay. Conor, in our first and last call before the interview, you told me about some main goals and some main values of your startup, of your company. And if I remember right, you told about chain culture.
Yeah.
Can you explain what did you mean?
So before I get lit on fire, we're going to use the term network culture, because Hedera is a network. It's not necessarily a blockchain. But network culture is a very kind of, it's a more human concept, and something I don't think we necessarily talk about a lot in cryptocurrency, but I want to steer the direction towards it. And network culture, specifically for Hedera, is a way that we're going to really, in my opinion, is a way that we are going to separate ourselves from our peers, because we're all gradually approaching, certain technical specifications that allow us to be fast, that allow us to be cheap. And so for the average user, there's not going to be too much difference between using Solana, between using Phantom, or, Hedera, or any other network, because at the end of the day, they're not going to notice too much of a difference. Everything is going to be very, very cheap and very, very fast. And so at that point, we have to say, what makes us really different? What makes us special? And so we have the Business Governance Council as one piece of the puzzle. And then now it's a matter of developing or utilizing that business piece and then implementing that into our overall kind of culture, and then helping that become its own unique thing. And so when I talked with you kind of prior to this, and what I've been talking about within our overall social media and marketing is a culture of, you know, integrity and authenticity. Because if we want to be able to translate a lot of the stuff that we're doing on chain, that we're doing in this amazing world of Web3, we're going to have to be, you know, compatible with a lot of these businesses and with the average person. And so we can't really do that if we're, you know, shady or scammy or have these, you know, unprofessional kind of aspects to us. And so for me, you know, the root of all of that is going to be that integrity and that authenticity portion. And then for integrity, that's just a matter of we are professionals. We are running protocols. We are, you know, community members that are part of protocols. Let's be respectful towards each other. Let's be supportive of each other. And then let's also be completely honest and kind of transparent with everything that we're doing, because just like these businesses that we interact with, you know, are audited by major companies and they all have to report to public stock exchanges and all that jazz. We may not necessarily have the same exact setup, but, you know, we are much more directly accountable to our people. And so we need to accept that and embrace that and, you know, be forthcoming with all that information. And that ties into the authentic portion as well, because then with authenticity, we're trying to make sure that everything that we're putting forth with regard to our roadmap, with regard to news or anything, the way that we carry ourselves, as Hedera Starter and the projects that we incubate, all of them are very genuine and they're, you know, true to form as to who they are. There's not a facade and there's not, you know, lies that are being spread about, you know, the true nature of the people. And so I think if we're taking those pieces and we combine that with the whole business aspect, and then maintain the culture that's already present and make sure that, you know, we instill in all of the projects that we incubate that culture, just integrity and authenticity, that'll continue to kind of compound the innovation that we've already seen, and really just push Hedera so that it's a network that is really kind of identifiable and that's really kind of separate and stands above its peers. So hopefully that answered your question. It was kind of a long answer.
Yes, a long and the full answer. And this is what I was waiting for. Conor, you told about some innovations. What innovations will Hedera Starter bring to crypto community worldwide?
Yeah.
And how Hedera Starter will work different than others?
Yeah.
Launchpads.
So I don't want to give away too many tricks, but I think this answer will answer both your questions actually. One of the biggest parts of the Hedera Starter kind of decentralized application is our HDAO and the HPAD. So in a traditional launchpad, you'd have seed and private and maybe a strategic round. Those are the initial funding rounds. And all those generally happen without the average retail investor having access to it. So the vast majority of the people staking onto the launchpad would not get access to those 3 to 4 rounds. They would get access to the IDO round and then the project launch. But now with Hedera Starter, we really wanted to give the community an opportunity to get involved, and then also allow them to, one, become involved in the private rounds and everything and all those seed and initial rounds, but also just become involved within the incubation process, and then for them to grow and gain experience. What does this mean? So by joining the HDAO, which is one part of it's the first half of the Hedera Starter. And then you have the HPAD, which is your kind of standard launchpad portion of Hedera Starter. The HDAO gives you access to the seed rounds, private rounds, and any strategic rounds that would normally be only open to like VCs or private investors or angel investors or institutional funds. So by staking to HDAO, you're going to be able to have access to all of those rounds. And then, you know, kind of like we talked about offline, what we're really interested to see is, by nature of, you know, DAOs being what they are, we would love to see DAOs representing bunches of people, groups of people, communities and everything, purchasing and staking on the HDAO, because then the DAOs can then vote and collectively kind of pool their funds. So that kind of taps on how we can use DAOs within DAOs. That's a cool mechanic. So we've talked about the funding and the initial rounds, but more importantly, by people joining the HDAO, they are going to be part of various different councils. For example, the DeFi Council, which is going to have access to specifically all of the DeFi protocols that are coming through the incubator. And so they're going to be a very important part of the process of the incubator review and adjustment and comments and critiques and feedback and all of that. Because when a project comes through the incubator or the accelerator, either one, my team and myself and the incubation specialists on my team are going to be reviewing the project, making sure that, they look good, that they're going to be a successful product, that they're going to find a product market fit, and that they're going to be able to last a long time and be profitable and be successful. Included in that is the HDAO members who are on those councils. They're going to be able to provide their own feedback and really also participate in the process. And this is cool because initially it's going to be, rather focused on myself and my team, I'd say within the first few months. But as we begin to launch more and more projects, that means the members of the HDAO are going to see more and more products or more and more projects and have access to, and they're going to gain more and more experience. So, if we take our previous talk, 5 years down the line, when Hedera Starter is continuing to launch projects, those members that have stuck around and have stayed in the whole 5 years, that entire period, are going to have lots and lots of experience seeing lots of different projects and kind of know what to look for. And they're going to be even more valuable assets because then projects that would want to be incubated will have access to myself and my team, and they're going to have access to our amazing community, which is going to have a wealth of experience. And they're all it's even better because these community members are coming from all walks of life, from Latin America, from Eastern Europe, from Russia, from Asia, all those places. And so that's how I think we're really going to see a whole lot of innovation just by nature of having access to so many different people to provide feedback and to provide their own kind of opinions on projects in the process.
Very, very interesting and promising. So you think that the future of fundraising is a DAO future?
Yes, I would love to see that because DAOs allow you to do so much, and they're just like we talk about DeFi being Lego blocks. DAOs are building blocks because you can form DAOs of DAOs, and those DAOs can interact and a whole interpersonal kind of relationships with those DAOs. I don't think we're there completely. I think if you want to see an example of that, you could look at the Curve Wars if you're familiar with Curve and DeFi, because you have DAO protocols purchasing Curve tokens and interacting on a much larger level than a normal investor. And so I feel like that's probably the best example of really like the first iteration of DAO to DAO interactions. But I hope that Hedera Starter is really able to kickstart that on Hedera and the cryptocurrency industry in general, and really kind of lead the way with DAOs and making sure that they continue to be, a very important part of the cryptocurrency future.
Conor, last week we launched our Cryptometa DAO for small investors to become more powerful altogether in order to the same goals that you told us about HDAO, seed, private, and strategic rounds, for our community, for our supporters who find some information, who has some experience and can share it with us, with the team, with community, who can invite some very cool specialists and experts. And that's why I'm all for your HDAO and HPAT. And to my mind, if we know that HBAR Foundation and Hedera Hashgraph is something unique and something different from all we have now in DeFi, and that is it is so really, because the different how to say technology is different. Technology of consensus and of sharding and of expansion through the Web3 is different, and backers are very cool from Fortune 500 Fortune, or how to say?
500, 100,
yes.
I think 50, yeah.
Yes, and that is why I think that Hedera Foundation will pump like Solana pumped recently, half a year ago, and that is why I'm all for our DAO will make a friendship with you, with your HDAO, and I propose you our friendship, our partnership.
Yeah.
We would like to invest from Russia in the most interesting projects we will see at your Hedera Starter, and please call us if you need something to do in Russian-speaking area. And Conor, I have a question which I think everybody is interested to listen to the answer. What is the roadmap of Hedera for the next close future?
Yeah, so we've been really pushing and building up kind of our guerrilla marketing within Hedera itself. And then from that aspect, I think as we kind of start to become really well known within the Hedera community, we're going to gradually expand our focus outwards, which is why, you know, yourself and your community and your DAO are important to me, because you guys kind of, you know, represent a good portion of kind of the Russian crypto investors and those guys, and you guys can be a really good aspect as we begin to reach out to other different communities that aren't just in the West and North America. In terms of technical stuff and our own project launching, right now we're looking kind of at a launch within, I think, early April is what we're aiming for, and that launch would begin on Binance. And the reason for launching on Binance first rather than Hedera is that our dev team is just waiting on kind of the finalization of smart contracts, which should happen by the end of Q2 is what we're being told. And so assuming we get to the end of Q2, all the smart contracts, everything goes 100%, we're all good to go. We feel comfortable and everything. Then it's just a simple migration process from Binance to Hedera. It should be relatively simple. I say relatively simple because they're both EVMs. So the process is tried and true. There will be some kind of peculiarities, I imagine, but that'd just be the next step. Is kind of the main box to check, at least for us, is smart contracts being 100%. There are some additional things that we're really trying to look at. I know I would love to get our DAO our DAO form up and running as soon as possible, even maybe before we launch, because then we can start really interacting with the community and then having people on the forums, test out proposals and experiment and have all that stuff going. And hopefully we can push that out sometime this March, so this coming month, within the next kind of 30 to 32 days. And then from there, so if we push out the forum, hopefully come out in March, we would do our token generation event on Binance, like I said, or Binance Smart Chain in early April, and then sometime, I think end of May, early June, assuming Hedera smart contracts are good to go, is probably when we'd be migrating over to Hedera and then doing basically the full launch. So kind of view launching on Binance as like a beta, because then users can test out the full launch pad. We can figure out what works, what doesn't work, fine tune stuff. People can start submitting proposals on the DAO. We can start adjusting stuff and listening to the community feedback. And then, Hedera launches, and then we are good to go. We can kind of hit the ground running and start kind of launching projects and, doing our job.
Conor, do you have some rivals, some another launchpads and starters in Hedera Foundation, Hedera ecosystem?
I don't necessarily like to view them as rivals. They're just, they also offer their own services, and people are perfectly, allowed to take those services, and I'll support their decision to do so. I know the Hedera Foundation offers grants and a significant amount of money to projects, and so that's what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to work with them so that we can become, kind of like I said, a credible or a verified, project that they can send projects to, and they can trust us, because then if we have that good working relationships, then it'd be easier for us to even get funds from the Hedera Foundation to give to projects. And so that's just another avenue for projects to get money, because just like I need to, feed my people, pay my people, those projects are going to need to feed and pay their people. And so, any additional funds, I imagine, any project is going to want. So I'm not here to stop anybody from either going to the Hedera Foundation. I would highly encourage everyone to go to the Hedera Foundation, and hopefully we'll be able to make that process pretty easy and pretty fast for them, or, to another launchpad or whatever. So
you will become due diligence hub for Hedera.
Basically, yeah, we have, so, and that's kind of where I've had a lot of experience in, is just massive amounts of just due diligence. We have a very extensive due diligence form. The kind of the onboarding process itself is probably one of the biggest portions of the incubation, because we want to see, okay, do you pass our due diligence form? No. Okay, well, why don't you pass? Let's take a look. Let's examine and see where you failed, so that if we can assist you and we can fix some stuff and then help you pass, then better. If we can't help you pass, then maybe you just need a bit more time to think about it. And then if you do pass the due diligence form, that's even better, because then we can actually start the process and, launch your project. Because in order to launch, we need you to pass the due diligence form. And then we all, the passing the due diligence form, it gives you gives a better incentive for the Hedera Foundation to, potentially provide grants and provide additional funding to any of these projects that would launch.
Mm-hmm. I see. Conor, and to finish with, can you tell us about yourself? How did you come in here in Cryptosphere?
Yeah, so a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I graduated university last year in 2021 from Texas A&M. Whoop! And since then, I have just been working super hard. I started kind of at the very bottom of the crypto industry and worked my way up. I started off as a community manager, and then rose, went to different projects, then rose kind of through the ranks, and eventually got to, worked at the launchpad, and then worked up to the launchpad as the head of research and development and assisting with incubation and stuff. And so we were developing kind of protocols, assisting people that would come our way, helping them refine, basically everything that we're going to be doing with Hedera Starter. And then eventually Mark approached me, the other co-founder that I mentioned previously, and said, hey, we have this opportunity to build a launch pad on Hedera and really be, an influential piece and really grow an ecosystem from square one. And so I thought that was fantastic, because just like I started off in the industry as started at square one as a community manager and then worked my way all the way up to the top. I plan on doing the exact same thing with Hedera. Hedera starting kind of at square one. We have some NFTs, a little bit of stuff going around in there, and those guys are doing awesome. And now the goal is just to, push Hedera all the way up to the top spot. And I couldn't be more excited to do it. So.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Nice to hear such a beautiful story from Hollywood. From community manager to CEO of very perspective projects. Well,
perspective, yeah.
Prospective
yeah.
project, yeah. Conor, and to finish with, eventually, what could you wish to our viewers, to those people who will see this video?
I would say that what I would wish them, I would say keep an open mind and be ready to be paying attention to Hedera. We have lots of stuff coming out. I know I've been working, myself and my team has been working super hard. We're pulling 12 to 16-hour days most of the time, because we just have so much going on, so much behind the scenes. We're talking to so many amazing different people. So just keep your eye on Hedera Starter, keep your eye on Hedera, and get ready to be hopefully amazed. Fingers crossed.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much, Conor. Have a nice day. Have a nice year. Have a nice decade. Because you are watching in the future, not
Exactly.
yes. That was Conor, the co-founder of Hedera Starter, the very prospective launchpad in the very prospective blockchain, or not a blockchain, but so it has an account in CoinMarketCap. That is why we call it blockchain. Goodbye, Conor. See you soon. We wish you good luck.
Will do. Bye bye, guys. Take it easy. Thank y'all so much.